episode 16. Tim, the tool man, Sawhook. What's up, my man?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
It's
The
good.
laugh always
Pulling this-
comes somewhere after the words or the number. I don't know why. I'm just gonna stop mentioning it at this point. It's kind of getting weird, but I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Excited to be back behind the mic again with you. Get out this
Yes,
very timely and fun episode. I think we're gonna have a good time with it.
it
How's
is.
everything been with you? Did you have a good weekend?
I had a great weekend. Had a little awkward morning this morning.
Let's
So
hear more about that. Yeah.
yeah. So I go to this indoor track to go walk.
Mm-hmm.
I usually go in the afternoons, like right before I have to pick up the girls from school and everything. But this morning, since we're recording and everything, I
Yeah.
went earlier than I normally do, and so there was a lot more people there than normal. And
Okay.
yeah, and so which is fine. It's usually all 70, 80-year-old people, walking on the
You're
walking trail.
That's your wheelhouse, baby.
Yeah, that's
That's
where
where
I
that's where
roll.
that's where you live.
But it's like, okay, so the walking track's like above the basketball court, so it's suspended,
Okay.
right? And so there are these pillars that hold it for support. They're diagonal, and
Right.
so if you're walking on the outside of the walking track, since they're kind of going at an angle, they've put these pool noodles all on every one of them, so people don't,
Bang
accidentally
their
hit
head.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm 6'2". So it's easy if I'm in the last lane that I could, I'll hit it. And so
Yeah.
those pool noodles are really important to me. Well, there's this one old guy. He was in his 80s,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell you what, every time we walked by one of those, he lowered it all the way down. And so now I have just, if I was to hit it,
What?
I'm gonna hit
Right.
um
Right.
the pillar. And I've already had multiple concussions, and so I've got to do everything I can to protect my brain, as you know, Tim, as
Yes.
well,
Yes.
from experience and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he would go down and he put every one of those things down to the ground. And so I, behind him, put them all back up.
Okay.
And we did this for 6 or 7 different laps. He would put them down and I would put them straight back up. I'm like, and so tell me, okay, this is one of those am I the a-hole
Yeah.
situations, right? Kind of.
Right. Right. Right.
And so if he's going to be petty, I'm going to be even more petty.
That's right.
I'm
Give
not
me a
I'm going to
chance.
be there. I'm going to be there longer than he is. And I'm going to do everything to it was getting aggravating. I was like, dude, come on,
Oh
man.
yeah, for sure.
I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
And so he got to the point where he got frustrated. So he went and got one of the workers that was at the front desk. And I come around the corner, the loop, and I see him standing there with one of the workers. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's about to go down. That's
Yeah.
fine. And so I walk up and I take out my headphones and
Is that the equivalent of you taking off your earrings for a fight?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so, and he's like, this young man won't stop lowering the pool noodles. I keep moving them, and I'm like, sir, they need to be up higher so people don't hit their heads. That's what they're there for.
Right.
And he didn't. I guess he didn't tell the worker what this was all about until I got up to him.
Oh.
And they were like, sir, I'm sorry. He's right. They're supposed to be up. And then he just
Mhm.
had a hissy fit and he just left. And so I was like, yeah,
What the heck?
Yeah. And so
What
that
was that
was,
all about?
I have no idea. And so, yeah, that was my little argument, my
Mm.
passive aggressive argument that I had with an 80-year-old man today at the walking trail.
Nicely done, my friend. I
Thank you.
mean, this morning you didn't think that was going to happen, but it did.
No. Yeah.
And now you have like an arch enemy at the walking track.
I really do. I should start going in the mornings just to
You should
amp
just
this thing up.
yeah,
But
like just to dominate your space.
exactly.
Bring a pool noodle and hit him with it every time he tries to move it. Behind him, just whack him as you guys are
Whack
walking.
'em. Yep, exactly. I'm gonna start walking with it. That's gonna be like my Lucille, like from The Walking Dead. I'm just gonna be walking around with my pool noodle on my shoulder.
Yeah.
But
You
am
do
I
that.
the a-hole? Am I the a-hole, y'all? Let me know. Was I just a little too passive aggressive, or like I said, I was protecting myself. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
Not just yourself, but other people to come after you.
Exactly.
If it's too low, you're not paying attention. I mean, we've all
And
ran into something at some point in our lives.
and I get in my head and I start daydreaming. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm, listening to
Mhm.
music. It's very easy for me not to pay attention and just knock myself out.
Right.
Just me laying on the floor.
Well, I have 2 questions for you. The first
Yeah.
one is, do I ever enter your daydreams ever?
Oh yeah, every day.
And the second one is, I think we should start a drinking game for our listeners. For every time we talk about having a concussion, they have to
Exactly.
take a drink. I
Gotta
feel
take
like
a
we're always
shot.
bringing it up all the time with other
We
many
sh
head
we sh
issues.
we should have named the podcast something to do with concussions. The Concussion Bros or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
concussion bros. I mean, that's really putting yourself into a really specific category, concussion bros.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, there's a market for everything, right?
I reckon. Yeah, man. Oh shoot. But yeah, so I was just a little amped this morning. I was just like, but I had the guy on my the worker on my side. I'm like, yeah, and then the
Mm,
dude just storms off. It was kind of rewarding, but also I don't like drama. And but I
well,
don't mind handling the drama if I have to. You know what I'm saying?
I'll handle my business.
I handle my business.
I don't care
I'll
how old
drop
you
an
are.
elbow. Yeah, exactly. Shoot.
Oh, that's so
Um,
funny.
but speaking of dropping elbows, you had a really good weekend, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, nice transition there,
You like
sir.
that? You
Yeah,
like that?
I did like that. Yeah, so I just spent the weekend in Indianapolis with my son Luke, who is a diehard wrestling fan. We went to Friday Night SmackDown. We're live there and watched that. But the biggest thing we were there for was Saturday night was the Royal Rumble.
Yes, sir.
Now, this was at Lucas Oil Stadium where the Colts play, and there were 67,000 people there for Royal Rumble. I was trying to say Royal Rumble. Oh dear God, it was insane how crowded it was. Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
mean, you hear 67,000 people and you just don't fathom what that's like to be in it. So, and plus it was like 25 degrees outside, so everyone's waiting for like an hour before it's time to get in. Everyone's cold. There's
Yep.
people like on you, like around you. Everyone's geeking out for wrestling though. I mean, I'm telling you what, if you want to be around a bunch of big white guys who and like act like hillbillies,
Uh-huh.
then a wrestling live event is for you.
Oh my gosh.
No offense to wrestling people out there. I had an amazing time. So I used to love wrestling. I followed all that stuff. I think we've talked about that before. But I had Luke on it's a 2-hour drive from where we lived in Indianapolis. So he pulled up Apple Music and played me everybody's entrance song. So I was
Nice.
getting like the music, feeling the vibe, who's who,
Mhm.
whose beef is with who, all those kind of things. So yeah, the Friday night was good. Wasn't too bad. We were on the floor for the Royal Rumble, which sounds amazing, but we were like,
But
the
it's
ring's here, and we were 2 of those blocks back. And then if everyone stands up in front of you, you're pretty much screwed.
oh yeah.
So, not everybody's self-aware. Like nobody's self-aware of that place.
Sure.
Um, so after we just got over the fact that we could just watch it on the jumbotron ahead of us, like why seeing it kind of, we're like, why didn't we just do this at home for free? No, but that energy in that place when
Was
67,000 people go crazy over the same thing was insane. It was a lot of fun. It was fun watching him just geek out because he just loves wrestling so much. He'll be 24 actually this weekend, and like that was the same age I was when I was obsessed with. Like I was obsessed in the 80s, right when I was a kid.
uh-huh.
WWF. But as I got older, I was with WCW, and it was like the
Yep.
NWO and all those things.
Uh-huh.
And so I was kind of like the same age where I was going crazy. We'd have wrestling nights every Monday at our house, and we would legit wrestle each other. We had like our own made up belt for the house. I mean, it was
Oh
stupidity,
yeah.
but hey, it was love. It's a love language of wrestling. And you know what I
Oh,
have to say though, as much as they're crazy, everybody was really nice. Nobody was like
that's
out of hand. I didn't expect that. Matter of fact, on the first night when we were at Friday Night SmackDown, I turned around. What caught my eye originally was this guy, because the guy sitting behind me, he's in full clown mask, like makeup. He made himself like a full clown, and he was
uh-huh.
wearing a shirt that said, "I shaved my balls for this." Yeah, and I was like, "All right, Luke, these are your people." It was the craziest combination of things I'd seen in a while. Um, but yeah, I was
That's a
texting Leslie, and I'm like, "You won't believe what's behind me right now." And I explained to her. She's like, "Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun."
Yep. Hey, that's a shirt idea for the merch for the show. Just kidding.
Everybody wants to shape my balls for this. Question mark. Shirt for the podcast. I mean, it ties in with everything we talk about.
Yep.
I mean, you're an idea guy, so I'm
That's
here
right.
for it. Oh my gosh.
Like, my goodness.
Could you imagine?
Oh,
That was our logo like real big right next to it,
Yep.
like the shoulder. I mean, it would probably get people's ideas to check it out at least. Like, what kind of podcast is this?
What's I love it. I love it.
There was actually 4 guys who had their own wrestling podcast. They were there. I saw their shirts. On the back, though, they had huge QR codes for people could just scan it and go right to their podcast.
Nice.
That's what we need, Billy.
Yeah, we need a big, huge QR, shirt,
Or if you want to take a step further, a tattoo on your arm with the QR code for the podcast.
That's commitment.
That's commitment that we are never ever going to stop this podcast. To death do us part.
Yep, that's right. Go ahead and scan.
No, but going back to the wrestling, it was a lot of fun spending time with Luke, being in Indy, checking out some places. We went to the wrestling convention center, waited in this crazy line for merch, and yeah, he was living his best life. I was a couple times where I was trying to videotape him, like geeking out when people were coming out, because he just, like, when he gets into something, like, he knows everything about it, and his memory is like insane. That's why he's so good in the football world and everything like that, because he's so good with all. He's the same way with wrestling, like every stat, every beef, everything. So I was like, where they came up from, like where they were born. I'm like, how do you know all this information about all of these people? It was crazy.
Oh, dude,
crazy good.
I'm so happy for y'all. I know how special it is just to have, especially just one-on-one time with the kids. You know what I mean? So that was
especially when they're older and they don't live at home anymore.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, I don't want to, but
it's a world that will happen to you. But right now you're not in it, so enjoy it while you can.
Yep. I'm going to soak every second of this up. Shoot.
Now, Billy, before we get into our episode this week, we have been promising people this whole month that we are doing a special giveaway, right? You want to remember can you remind our listeners what that giveaway was?
Yeah. So this past month, we said if you went on Apple Podcast on the app and just left us a 5-star written review, you'd be entered for a chance to win one of 2 Amazon gift cards. And so I think it's time to announce our 2 winners.
First of all, a big thank you to everybody who's left a review for us. We really appreciate it. It means a lot. We talk about it all the time, how it helps us be seen in front of other people. So that is an amazing thing. Continue to do that for people listening beyond this, because who knows, we might do surprise contests that you don't even know about. Just by you being kind to us, we'll be kind to you.
That's right.
So with all that said, we were very excited to give away our 2 first ever gift cards on this podcast, Billy. You need to clock this date. Clock this date.
Right.
All right. So we don't have the real names. We just have the usernames. So what we're going to do is we're going to release these 2 people who'd won. And if you do win, you can reach us at an email, which is info@alltheeverythingpodcast.com. Just give us your name and like a email address, and we can send you the Amazon gift card that way. So you don't have to give up too much of your personal information. But even if you only want to give your first name, that's totally fine too. But just give us your information and we'll get you those gift cards. So without further delay, Billy, our 2 winners are the Bearded One and also Mandy Cat. I'm going to say it one more time. The winners are the Bearded One and also Mandy Cat. So congratulations to both of you guys. Woo!
Yeah.
It's a party. Go, Billy. Get it. Get it. Get it. Okay.
That's right.
You got too much of it.
Too much.
Too much. But thank you guys again for doing that. And stay tuned for more contests so we can give you some more gifts and we can interact with you. Well, there ain't nothing to it but to do it. Are you ready, my friend?
You better believe it. Let's get into all the everything, y'all.
All the everything, we've got it all. We've got it all, small, weird, or tall. So grab your snacks, sit back, don't stress, cause Tim and Billy talk about the randomness. Formation prone to UFOs, we'll take you where the weirdness goes. It's 2 guys talking way too loud about stuff that makes no sense, but we're kinda proud.
Well, welcome to another amazing episode of All the Everything Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Tim Sawhook, and I'm joined by my friend, Billy Parchman. Now, Billy Parchman, how are you doing today, buddy?
Man, Tim Sawhook, I am doing good, sir. Love is in the air.
Is that the smell? Love. That smells like love. I hope that's the
Smells
smell
like
of love. I have to say, for the record, every time I call you in my car, it says Billy Parkman, even though I say Billy Parchman. I just have to tell you that. It's like calling Billy Parkman. I'm not always panic like I think I'm calling somebody else.
Who is that?
Yeah. Who's this
One
other
day
Billy
somebody's gonna answer. Hello.
Yeah.
This is
It's
not
just Billy Parkman. I'm so sorry. But love. I don't know where that tangent come from, but that's how we roll here. But love is in the air. This weekend is Valentine's Day.
Ooh.
So if you haven't got your sweetheart something sweet by this point, you better start getting out there.
You better go.
Closer you get to
CVS.
Valentine's Day, those flowers that usually are $9.99 are gonna be like $199.99. And you don't want to deal with that. Yeah.
Oh, you got to time it perfectly though, because you don't want to get them too early.
No.
That's the problem. Unless you pre-order them and then they're just ready. That's I guess the best way to do it. But if you're like going to the grocery store, I'm telling you, you could just watch people come out the grocery store just with flowers on Valentine's Day. It's kind of crazy. Like if you have we have a floral department in our Publix, so
same for our Kroger. And it is funny because when you go in there like a day or two before, I usually try to do it to get things fresh about a day or so. It's just nothing but men looking confused. It's just straight up men looking at the prices, looking and smelling and like not smelling and just asking lots of questions like to the people next to you. Like, have you ever been there? Like another guy be like, "Hey, what should I get?" Or that's happened to me like 3 or 4 times.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
okay.
Especially if you go to the floral department there, or like I said earlier, CVS, man. CVS is also one of those places where last minute, because it's usually open later.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
People are just grabbing some kind of chocolates or whatever, because
or you're too late to the game and you have to get like chocolate flavored gummies because it's not really chocolate, but you did your best. Like all the heart things are sold out. Let me ask you real quick. What is one of your favorite Valentine's Day candies?
Oh, well, let me think about this. Let's see. I always loved, and they're going to be off the market soon because they banned red dye number whatever. Those little hearts that have the little messages on those.
Oh, the conversation hearts?
Yes. And I like the ones that have like just more obscene things on it, not just the "be mine." Just be like "you suck" or something, just something funny. I like that.
Yeah. Now, but I dig on a bunch of. I was gonna say conversation hearts, not because they're amazing in flavor, they're just fun, but again, we've talked about this before. It's always the Reese things. It's the Reese hearts.
Yeah,
be my number one favorite.
You did mention that before. Yep.
Yeah. And there's plenty of other ones I love, but since this is not an episode all about candy, I'll slow my roll on that one for a few minutes.
But yeah, like we said earlier, like this is our Valentine themed episode. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to bring the game 20 questions into play, and we're going to have 20 amazing Valentine themed questions for you. So you get to know a little bit more about our love lives, which could be kind of awkward. And here is a little warning for you all.
Wait a minute, what are we talking about out there?
Yeah.
We're talking about our love lives? Okay.
Our love lives, because, these questions reflect that. And here's the thing. If you're one of our family members that are listening to this show, I don't know what we're going to say. You never know what we're going to say on this show.
Oh, dear God.
But, I know Michelle's mom listens. This might not be the episode for you.
Hi, Michelle's mom.
Yeah, so go ahead and just catch us next week. I don't know. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So we'll just see what happens.
I like that prompt. It's like a real hook for people to stay to the end.
I don't know how spicy things are gonna get.
Well, we all know Billy likes things spicy. He talks about it every episode.
That's right.
So
that's right.
he just chugged a whole bottle of Tabasco sauce just to get hyped for this episode. So
Woo! I can do it.
I know you can do it.
No, sodium levels, man. That's where the hotness doesn't bug me. Sodium. Ugh.
Yeah. No one likes to feel bloated. I mean, come on.
Right. Come on.
All right.
Especially right before Valentine's Day.
I think we should hop right into these questions, right?
Let's do it.
These people are busy out there. They need to get their love life like on fire. So we need to give them the answers to help them out.
Exactly.
All right, you pitched me
So,
the first question, sir.
question number 1. What's the best Valentine's Day gift you've ever received or given?
Okay. So I thought about this. Received, I always get gifts from Leslie for Valentine's Day. You know, I get the traditional candy and
Mhm.
she'll get me bourbon. She's very thoughtful thing, big gifts and stuff. But there's
Mhm.
never been anything that's grand. Like it wasn't like this grand thing that stood out one year. Always consistent. Thank you very much, Leslie, but no slam on that. But it's something that I did for her, actually.
Ooh,
So this
okay.
was years ago, back when our kids were younger. When I say younger, like Luke was just in kindergarten, first grade maybe, and Lauren was in preschool still. And I was still a stay-at-home dad at this point. So I was trying to do something creative for Valentine's Day, and I was thinking, you know what? Here's what I can do. I can get somebody to take the kids. I can get us a hotel and get us a dining reservation, like a nice restaurant.
Uh-huh.
But before all that happens, I'm going to have her do a scavenger hunt that leads up to that point.
Ooh.
And so what I did is I came up with all these different clues, and I had to. Here's the thing: when you do this, though, you have to hope and faith that the people where you take these things to are really going to do the gift thing for you. Because I didn't take
Yeah.
it to I didn't send it to like relatives' houses where they'd be like, "Hey, Tim left us this." I actually went to establishments like. One was a Target, one was a wine store, one was this and that and the other. So every clue led to the next place, and I had packed up a bag for her. I got her dress that I thought fit. It might have been a little big. Big's better than being too tight, right? Had everything at the hotel, and I was just waiting. So then see, when I did this before, there wasn't any like Life 360, so I couldn't track like where she was at,
Right.
how close she was to whatever, because I told her that she couldn't really be in contact with me during this thing. She had to just figure it out, go from place to place. And it's one of her favorite things to this day. And like I said, it was like a leap of faith because you'd have to hope that these poor people that would get them like, here's this clue for my wife. I bought these whatever wine glasses. Just give her the wine glasses with this clue to the next place. And thankfully, it all worked out because when you don't have like family or friends involved in a secret mission or scavenger hunt, who knows what could happen? You know,
Who knows? The adventure. He's like, I don't know. We're in a standstill here.
exactly. Because like we're missing a clue. I don't know where to go next.
Sarah took off work, and now I don't know what.
Yeah, yeah. Sarah got sick. I don't know what to do with this. Wait, someone give me wine glasses. But no, it was a lot of fun to plan because I love doing surprise things for the family, for kids, for anyone. That's kind of one of my favorite things to do. So I love planning that out, and because when I sent her a message, I'm like, "Don't worry, you don't have to pick up the kids. Something's going down." And she was actually, I brought them in for lunch that day. I'm like, I tried to give her a clue, like, you know, you might want to give them a bigger hug or kiss because you might not see them for a little bit. And she's like, "What?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing with our children?" I was like, you know, maybe like a date or something, like just trying to keep it low key. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. The scavenger hunts are awesome. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
and it's also just the effort that you put in, man. That's where the brownie points come from. So that's.
And I have to say though, I
like
wasn't picking that. I couldn't. Sorry to interrupt you there, Billy.
No.
What I was to say is, it's not that I picked that out. This was best. I was going over these questions, and my wife said, "Talk about the scavenger hunt." So that was her answer as well. So I don't try not to pump up my ego on this thing and do all those things. Anyhow.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. I like it.
So Billy, same question for you.
For me, our first Michelle and my first Valentine's Day together. I still remember this just random gift that I got her. I made her like a little care package, like a basket of all these things. But for this one year, and this is 20, gosh, how long have we been together? I don't even know, 20 something years, whatever.
Just wrong.
Yeah. This year they had 5-pound Hershey bars that they were selling at Walmart.
Oh,
and
nice.
Like these huge thing. And so that was like the centerpiece of her gift basket was this huge chocolate bar that was just ridiculously big. And that's always just stuck out to me just as a random gift. You know, receiving gifts, you know, I've said this multiple times on the podcast. We usually just buy what we want when we want it.
Yeah.
Now there are times where if there's I have champagne taste on a PBR budget, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah.
so what I like to do, if there's, I like expensive things, I'll just like put together 3 or 4 different holidays into one. Like I call it Father's Birthday is one big one.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and so like this painting behind me, I had commissioned of Star-Lord. That was a Father's Birthday.
Got it.
Like my Apple Watch. I think this was my Valentine's gift from last year. You know, plus a couple other, it's just because it's expensive. But really,
yeah.
and honestly, the real gift she can give me doesn't cost any money, if you know what I'm saying. So we'll just leave it at that.
It's going to cost you a lot more now after you just said that on the podcast.
Well, I take that back. We do have 2 kids, and they're kind of expensive. But hopefully, the goalies are up, and so that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So
you're on lockdown with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's our next question, Bill. You're up first.
Okay.
What is the greatest love story of all time, real or fictional?
Okay. Yeah. So for me personally, and this has to do with this couple mirrors me and Michelle.
Okay.
And so it means a lot. It's fictional, very fictional. And so that would be a one, Wally and Eve.
Oh.
Because like I am, my characteristics of like a sweetheart, I resemble Wally as far as personality goes, not looks, because he is a robot.
Because you have a hoarding problem also?
I guess you could, if you see behind me my collection of all the stuff, I guess you could say that. But Michelle is more, she's more, I wouldn't say serious, but she's smarter. She's a doctor, and so she's like a scientist, and Eve is like,
True.
not, I don't know how to say it, but she's a lot like Eve, even though she does have the sweetness and stuff as well. But she is, a lot. She resembles.
She's
Eve
all
a lot.
Business, right?
Yeah,
like she's all business.
Yeah, a lot of business, and so like just the way they just complement each other. That's just our like you could see behind me. Like, let's see, I'm mirrored here, so you got like Eve right here and Wally.
Right I see them right now.
Yeah.
I've never noticed Wally this whole time. I've always noticed Eve.
Wally. Yeah. So I we love them. If I ever get a tattoo, I'll probably have something to do with them on it. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's just like, so that's ours. How about you?
For me, when I thought about it, it came up right away. I was thinking Titanic,
Yeah.
Jack and Rose. I mean, the ultimate love story. Fall in love on the Titanic. 2 different classes of people coming together, letting nothing get in their way, not even the sinking of a ship. Well, eventually got in the way a little bit. If you haven't seen Titanic. Now, did you see Titanic in the theaters?
I saw Titanic multiple times in the theaters. I saw it with my friends. I went on a couple of dates as well. That was a good movie for me. Thinking back, that was a really good movie.
So you got a lot of usage out of that movie.
It's nostalgia to the max, and so
I remember seeing it like a week after it came out with Leslie, and I remember when I left, I thought it was an amazing movie, but the amount of people crying was like coming out of a funeral home. I mean, people were just sobbing and losing it. I was like, what is happening?
What's going on here?
I mean, I know it's an emotional movie. I'm not emotionally dead inside. Well, maybe a little bit, but I'm getting better at it. No, but for me, I thought about Jack and Rose from the Titanic movies. Great movie.
Yeah.
Good love story.
Fantastic. I love it. It was, a 3-hour plus movie. I mean, because that was back in the day as VHSs, and they had 2 VHSs when you bought that one, because it was just so long. And then the first time I ever saw it, I was like, you get to that one scene, you're like thinking, hey, it's just gonna cut off right here, but it didn't, and you're like,
nope.
I'm not in a rated R movie though. I could be here.
I'm old enough. I'm allowed.
I'm old enough. Yeah. What? So
I don't know what scene you're talking about.
I don't know either.
Wink. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. When we get together on the cruise, I'm gonna have you draw me like one of your French girls. And and we're gonna go from there. This will be our first video
I'm
together.
gonna draw that picture, and we're gonna put that picture on a T-shirt. Some more merch.
Now that is a T-shirt I can get behind.
Oh my gosh! I
Nobody
love
needs
it.
to see that. Nobody needs to see that. So.
Oh my goodness!
All right, moving on to
All right.
question number 3. What do we got?
Question number 3: what's a love song that actually gives you the feels?
All right, so I've been always like since like junior high. I've just always been like Mr. Lover Boy. Like I'm all about the love songs and the romantic things and stuff like that. I've always been into that. So there are a lot of songs, but one of the ones that stands out that I love the most is by Ben Folds, and it's called "The Luckiest."
Ooh.
Do you know the song "The Luckiest"?
I probably would if I heard it, but
I think you would.
Yeah, it's one of those that I don't know the title to that song, but what are some of the lyrics? Do you know?
You are
Did
the
I put you-
luckiest. No, I am
You
the
are
luckiest.
lucky.
No, it's a really cool story. It talks about different people, and like he tells a story about 2 different people falling in love and dying at the same time, and it's just the tone of the song, it's the way he sings it, the cadence of it. I'm not describing the song very good, but how he's the luckiest in this story of all.
I'll check that out after the podcast. I'm interested.
Yeah,
now.
it's really cool. The
as
first time I heard it, yeah, I was like,
as soon as I hear it, I'll be like, oh, it's this song. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I'm not really good with song names. And you know,
that's kind of my jam.
Yeah,
but
you're really into music too. So
yeah, totally into music. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
DJ Timmy Tim was my name when we DJ'd. Yeah,
on the ones and twos.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for following up. Billy on the ones and twos. Let's go. No, but it's a great song. If I had a close second one, it was going to be Christina Perri, 1,000 Years.
Oh, okay.
Do you know that one?
Again,
I know you know that one.
Yeah, I probably 100% do.
I would play it on the podcast, but we probably would get in a lot of trouble.
Oh, so yeah, I don't want to be like, you know, copyright infringement.
And I would only sing if Billy was duetting it with me. So maybe that's something else we can do when we get together here. And it's a matter of days we're going to be together. I can't wait.
Oh, I know it. It's going to be super. Girls are super excited, and I'm super excited. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, so what about you? What's your song?
For me, okay, so I have 3, real quickly, and they're all from the 90s, and they're all from movie soundtracks.
Okay.
So at number 3, I will have to say the just one of the most amazing voices on the planet when she was here, Miss Whitney Houston. And I will always love you from the Bodyguard soundtrack. And is that yeah,
you got it.
So,
try to hit that note. I wish you the best.
Yeah, I don't want to lose listeners. You know what I'm saying? And then my second, number 2, going back to Titanic, Miss Celine Dion,
of course,
one of my favorite Canadians. My Heart Will Go On. I mean, that's just an epic.
Yeah,
epic song. And then my favorite love song from the 90s from a movie soundtrack is I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith.
Oh, yeah.
So a little nostalgia right there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that little 90s hit. And I like that they're all it tracks with you about them being movie soundtracks. I should have guessed that out of the gate that you would pick that. So
Yep. So that's those, you know, easy peasy.
All right, we're moving on to question number 4. Billy, would you rather go on a Valentine's date at a fancy restaurant or a fast food drive-through?
Okay. So what's so funny is when we lived in Louisville, there were these fast food restaurants, and I'm sure they're up there in Cincinnati. They're not down here in Alabama. They're called White Castles. They actually made a movie about it.
I know exactly what you're going to talk about here. Yeah.
Yep. Little cheeseburger, like small, like sliders almost. But on Valentine's Day, they closed down the restaurant and they put out all the tablecloths and candles, and they reservations only. So it's like the best of both worlds. And you have this fancy dinner at the White Castle, but it's White Castle, and it's super popular. It's
It
like
is. It's insanely popular.
you can't get reservations. We've never actually done that. We tried,
Yeah.
but I always thought that would be super fun, just because it's random. It's the White Castle.
For me, it's a fancy dinner. If you
Mhm.
know me or don't know me, I'm going to tell you I like getting dressed up.
You do.
Like, going out with Leslie, have her put on a nice dress, all those fun things, getting out and going to a good fine dining establishment that you're going to have a nice quality steak at, some of those
Mhm.
higher end appetizer type situations. And and last time I did that was on September 3rd on my on my birthday, but
On your
I got in
birthday.
a car accident and that ruined everything. So I need a
Goodness
redo.
gracious.
Anybody who does
You
birthday redos, I need one.
you do need one, because you ended up
So
later in the emergency room,
that same
uh,
night, yeah. Oh,
yep,
someone's
same
gonna
night.
start drinking right now because we're talking about concussions
Oh,
again.
there you go. There you go. Take a shot.
Take a shot. Another
Shot,
mention of
shot.
concussions.
Oh,
But yeah,
man.
going out to a fancy dinner, I always love. We don't do it all the time, so
Sure. It's
yeah,
special. Yeah.
it's
Oh,
special. Like I said, you get food you don't usually eat, but yeah, fancy dinner. That's my answer.
what is the most iconic romantic comedy of all time?
Hmm. So I looked at this and I actually had a couple answers in my head, and I
Mhm.
started to do I read a couple articles about some of the best rom coms of all time, and
Mhm.
some of them you wouldn't expect them to be rom coms. The ones that had in this category, I don't know if this is just a weird thing because anyhow, but the two that I was thinking of were in the top two actually,
Okay.
and the one that is number two was my favorite pick, and it is from 1998. You've Got Mail, Tom
You've
Hanks and
got
Meg
mail.
Ryan.
Yep. Mhm.
Now you know this movie, right?
I do know the movie. Yep. Mhm.
Okay. I've seen that. Leslie loves Tom Hanks, loves Meg Ryan, and I love them too. And she always would watch this movie, and I wasn't into it. Then I started watching it. Now I've probably seen it like 20, 30 times. You've Got Mail. I mean, it's such a classic love story.
Gosh, it has been years. And honestly, the first time I saw it, I was on a date, so I didn't actually watch it a lot in the theater. I do remember
Billy,
that.
you sly devil.
I'm telling you. But yeah.
Oh, he's
um,
giggling. I'll tell you that
yeah.
they meet in a chat room. They both have their own little usernames, and then they meet in real life. And he
Mhm.
figures it out right away, pretty much that's who it is. But he never tells her that it's him. And then they secretly start to
Mhm.
fall for each other, even though they didn't like each other for certain reasons because of their businesses going up against each other in the book world and all the
Ooh,
fun things like that. But You've Got Mail for me is a good classic Valentine's Day movie. One of my
that's
faves.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great pick.
What
I
about you?
I am also going to be taking it back to the 90s with here's some of the ones that just really stood out to me that I love, like Notting Hill with Julia Roberts and
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hugh Grant. Um, that one. Yep, love that one. Just like a famous person and a normal person. That whole storyline was really cool. Serendipity.
Oh yeah, John
That
Cusack.
one
Yeah.
was John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale.
Hmm.
Gosh, yeah. I mean,
That's a great
that's
one too. Yeah.
that's a great one. And then I love The Wedding Singer. I love
Oh
like
yeah.
the classic Adam
Yeah.
Sandler's.
Oh yeah.
50 First Dates was a great rom com as well, with Adam
Hmm.
Sandler. But my favorite, my number one, was While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I love that movie. I feel like that's a Christmas movie to me as well. It's just part of during
Yeah.
Christmas, but
Yeah. For sure.
yeah, that one is like that's like a nostalgia. Like we had that on VHS. We would watch it all the time, growing up, and yeah,
Hmm.
I love it. And so yeah, that would be my top rom com. So
Oh, love it. The one that was number one on that list, by the way, was When Harry Met Sally.
oh, okay,
That
another
was
Meg Ryan,
Meg Ryan
right?
was in the top two. Yeah.
Yeah, wow,
Her and Billy Crystal. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. All right. So here's the next question.
Okay,
I'm going to go first on this one, and I'll explain why.
okay.
So the question was, do you remember your first ever Valentine's Day crush?
Hmm.
And I actually thought about this, and I was texting Billy. I'm like, I don't know if I have answers to some of these questions. I really cannot remember for the life of me who the heck that would have been. I don't know. And the reason why I don't think I remember as much is because for grade 1 through 5, I was in a really strict Christian school. So there wasn't a
Ooh.
lot of like
Mhm.
lovey-dovey stuff. We never decorated Valentine's Day like
Oh,
things
sad.
and passed out candy. It was like a real strict thing. It really sucked actually. That place sucked. It
Yeah,
was
no,
horrible.
that sounds
So yeah, so we didn't really. I'm not gonna say we didn't do anything because I don't really remember every detail, but I know that wasn't a big thing. So I can't remember like back in the day. I can't remember like middle school and like on girls who I liked and stuff. But there wasn't any like first grade like, oh, I'm in love with Susie, yay, and dance around the room. Good old Susie. So that is my answer as to that question.
And that's okay because that's the truth. That's what the people want. And
This
so
is my truth.
that's your truth.
Yes.
For me, that's
Yeah.
so sad, dude. Like just making the Valentine's Day boxes and getting those cards, man, as a kid. And the girls are doing that right now. We got all the decorations. We have all the shoe boxes and stuff that we're decorating. That's out on the kitchen table right now as we speak. They're getting ready for it. Oh man, that was just always great. But I do remember my little crush in the second grade.
Tell me all about it.
Yeah, her name was Patrice Mayo, and so yep, and she gave me one of those little Valentine's Day cards that I know she just randomly picked out that you just tear off and then you put it in, and I just like, oh my gosh, she loves me. Nope. So that was my little second grade crush. Yeah. So yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, I do remember that to this day. But yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. Now, see,
so cute.
I didn't have those little things, but I always highly invested in my kids for Valentine's Day to make sure it was all good. That's all.
Yep.
Because I knew I didn't have it, so we had making the boxes was always a great time. Buying the candy, deciding what you're gonna have, what treat you're gonna put in there, or whatever. So that's
Michelle asked me the other day if I would be her Valentine. That was really sweet. Because that was
so
like,
nice.
I was like, yeah, I will be your Valentine.
I will be. Did you have anybody else in mind?
Just like that was just, that was really sweet because it's not like her, and so it made it even extra sweet.
Oh, Michelle, you need to love your husband a little bit more.
Gosh, do better. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Kidding.
Yeah, I'm not getting involved in any of that. All right. What's our next question, Billy?
Okay, so what was your most awkward Valentine's memory from school?
All right. And so, like I told you before, I didn't have the early age Valentine stuff, but you still do as you get older in high school and stuff like that. Now, I told you I used to be Mr. Romantic guy and all this stuff. So I used to write love poems all the time. Like I was a poem writing machine, pumping out love like you couldn't believe. It was like a freaking Hallmark store card factory, pumping out love poems left and right. So what I did is I had them in this notebook. And this is like in 10th grade, by the way. Like this is me in 10th grade doing this. I had written all these things down. Well, I was also in the same school with my brother when he was a senior. And growing up, my brother was I won't say which brother name, but he was a real a-hole. And he would do things just to like totally embarrass you or whatever. So what happened to me was I had lost that notebook. It fell out of my backpack. And so I didn't know that until I was walking down the main hallway. It was called the 200 wing. The whole wall was lined with nothing but my love poems taped up. Because my brother did that. Yes. Someone found it, gave it to him, and he taped them up all down the hallway. And I walked through that. Everyone's like, oh, look, it says Tim. Oh, you wrote all these love poems. It was humiliating. So I just put my head down in shame. And of course, like, why did I have to sign every poem? What was I thinking? Was I going to be famous?
You're an artist. You're supposed to sign your work.
Why did I do all these things? Oh, it was humiliating for sure. So wasn't necessarily Valentine's, but along the same lines. That was.
But it's my gosh. Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, that's just. High school can be hard.
Especially when you have a brother who torments you.
Oh my gosh!
If it would have ended up in anybody else's hands, if people just thrown it away, I'd be okay.
Nope.
And ended up with him. So,
wow, that's a good one though.
Yeah.
Hey, it happened for a reason, and that reason, so we could talk about it right now.
That is true. It builds character when people are humiliating you. Billy, what about you?
Okay, so when I was in middle school and high school, I had the biggest crush on this one girl, and she was a really, really close friend. So much so, like our relationship, you could kind of be like, I was the guy next door, and she was the popular head cheerleader,
Yeah.
like homecoming queen, like um. So I was just like head over heels for her. Like that was like my biggest crush. Um, starting from the 7th grade on and stuff. And the way our relationship was, she would always flirt with me.
Yeah.
And so like we had a real flirty relationship and everything, if that makes any sense or whatever.
Yeah, because you weren't a risk, because you weren't
Yeah,
like her main thing. You were just
I
like,
guess I don't know. Like,
yeah,
and so like I would always, she knew that I was head over heels for her.
right.
I think she liked that, which is fine, but I guess she just didn't like that. Like she would kiss me on the cheek when, and like one night, like I was like, she did that. And like, I was like, okay, I'm going to make my move. And this was probably like one of the most like bravest situations. I just went up to her and said, I'm going to kiss you now. And she was like, okay. And then I was like on cloud 9, and we left, like we were at the Burger King parking lot when
Uh-huh.
that happened. And we left, and like Trey was driving, and he was like, dude, just shut up. He was getting so annoyed. It's like I was like on cloud 9 or whatever. But yeah, so well, on Valentine's Day, we went to this hockey game, and then afterwards, we went ice skating. They had ice skating after the hockey game. And so
Yeah.
I was like, this is Valentine's Day. I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. Okay. And
Mhm.
so this is with the youth group trip. And so word got around. I guess it got to her that that's something I was planning on doing, as if
Oh
you let
god.
one person know. And I should have just read body language. I did read the body language, but I still went through it. Like when like one of her friends was skating her over to me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now.
Mhm.
And I could kind of tell as like she didn't want to come over. I should have just read into the body language on that and just said, okay, this is not meant to be. It is what it is.
Right.
But I asked her, and I'm telling you, I mean, she had to say no, which is fine. Um, and
Mhm.
and so that was my most awkward, just being rejected and
Oh
heartbroken and
yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, that's just hey, it wasn't meant to be, and that's good because I got my queen later on in life, so
There you go.
it's all good.
That's a see. Reason why you couldn't read the room is because boys are dumb. We
Yeah.
just all we think about is the love. We're
So you're
blinded
telling
by
me
the
there's a
reality.
chance?
Exactly. That's our cross to bear.
Yeah.
All right, Billy. Here's your question. What
All right.
is your personal love languages? Do you think it actually matters in relationships?
Yeah. Okay. If you're not familiar with love languages, okay, so there's 5 different love languages. You have
Mhm.
physical touch, you have
Mhm.
quality time, you have acts of service, receiving gifts, and words of affirmation. And so
Mhm.
those are the 5 different languages, love languages out there. And so I do think that they are important, um, especially because everybody's different. And my
Right.
love languages are not Michelle's love languages.
Right.
And so um, for me, it's physical touch,
Mhm.
words of affirmation, um, and quality time. So those are my love languages. And so for her, it's not.
Mhm.
Hers is acts of service.
Right.
Like if I do the dishes, if the dishes are clean when she comes home. We have a Katy Perry situation, if you know, with just it's just that's her love language is acts of
Yeah.
service. That's how I show her love. And so physical touch or words of affirmation. I mean, it's nice for her, but it's not. But now, when, like I said earlier, when she said, "Oh, do you want to be my Valentine?" That meant a lot to me,
Yeah.
because that was my love language. And so, yeah, that's for me. And I do think it's important. And I know it's hard because when you want to try to love people the way you want to be loved,
Right.
and then, it's important to know how they want to be loved, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
it does.
yeah. So how
Yeah,
about you?
Yeah, I remember Leslie got this book when it first came out, and we had to because it was like you could only fill it out for one person. Like there was a quiz in the back of the book, so I remember we had to write our answers down separately because we wouldn't have the same thing. Anyhow, when we did that, and to answer the question, why is it important? I think I agree with you. It's important to know, first of all, like you may not thought, maybe you didn't have the words like physical touch, but you knew what that kind of meant. And I
Sure.
thought these things are really good at dialing in on what they are, because now you could sit down with pretty much anybody in the world and say, what's your love language? People know what this whole thing is. And it's not just important like in your immediate relationship with spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, but with your friends, with your family, co-workers, different things. Matter of fact, Gary Chapman, he is the author of the book, The 5 Languages of Love. He also has it, the same book, but he has it for kids. He has it for men, for women, and for singles. So it's a whole different perspective than just like I'm in a solid relationship.
Sure.
I've never looked at any of the other ones before, but when I was doing some research for the podcast, I realized he had all these different versions out, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. With all that being said, let's answer the question, Tim. All right. For me, it's I just picked my top 2.
Okay.
Words of affirmation and physical touch.
Okay.
I love giving gifts. I could care less. I mean, I like getting them, but it's not the excitement for me.
Sure.
Much love giving gifts and doing acts of service and things like that. But for me, it's physical touch and words of affirmation. I think probably most men, it's physical touch, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, not that women don't have physical touch, but I think probably for most guys, it's physical touch is in their top 2, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then words of affirmation. So, yeah, those are mine.
Awesome, sir. Good job. Good job.
Thank you. And good job to you.
Thank you. Thank you. All righty. So now, what's the cheesiest romantic thing you've ever done to somebody or for somebody?
For somebody, I had to think it was for Leslie. Now, her favorite movie of all time is the movie with John Cusack in it, and it's called Say Anything.
Okay.
Do you know Say Anything? Love story.
I don't know if I know that
from
one.
the 80s. All right, you have to watch Say Anything.
Okay.
If our viewers are watching or listening, please join the conversation. Let us know if you've seen Say Anything. There is a scene in the movie because he's in love with this girl that's out of his league and this, good old 80s rom-com stuff. But the song that they had sex to in a car was Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes. You know that song by Peter Gabriel, In Your Eyes? Okay. So that was the song that was on the radio. So they go through a rough patch in the movie, and he is depressed because she has this fellowship that she's going to be leaving overseas for, so she's trying to distance herself from him. But he wants nothing more but to be back in this relationship with her. So he's outside in the rain, standing there holding up a boombox, playing In Your Eyes outside her house.
Yes. Okay. I know which one you're talking about now. Yes.
So like that's an iconic scene, right?
It is.
And so I did that for Leslie one time. We were outside outside on our deck, and I was standing there with my big Bluetooth speaker with my hands up playing In Your Eyes for her. It was definitely cheesy, but it was a funny memory because it is one of her favorite movies of all time. So, good old Lloyd Dobler is his name.
Oh, man.
Lloyd Dobler.
Man.
You got to love him. But yeah, it was me in the backyard holding that up.
Nice.
What about you?
I like your style. For me, the cheesiest, most romantic thing actually is the way I proposed to Michelle. So I wanted to do that at Disney World, and it's our favorite place that at this point, we had never been together. And so I surprised her with a Disney World trip. We rented a car and everything. She thought we were going to Charleston, South Carolina. That's where, that's how I explained us having to get a car, like a rental and stuff. And so I got the car rental. And so we were heading from Mississippi to Orlando. We were going to drive down. And so I was going to stop in Mobile because there's this park downtown that has all these squirrels, and she loves squirrels. And so you could feed them like peanuts and they would come take it out of your hand at this park. And so I had made this, I got this like birthday card that had all these princesses on it. And I just kind of
Mm-hmm.
edited it to make it, we're going to Disney World.
Yeah.
And so I gave that to her at the park, and she just starts bawling. Like she's so excited we're going to Disney
Aw.
World and stuff. And so we get there, and our first day is Magic Kingdom. And so I have the engagement ring in my pocket, and I really wanted to get a picture of me proposing. And so I
Yeah.
was like, okay, if I can find a photographer in a good spot, that's going to be great. Back when I did this, there was this perfect little spot. It was this little offshoot that had had PhotoPass photographer down there. And so we were like, oh, let's go take a picture down here. And so
Mm-hmm.
I let her walk by, and I look at the photographer and I'm like, get ready, sir. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay. So he was on it. He understood, he knew the game. Like,
Yeah.
he was not a rookie. And so, yeah, it's a little private. It's now a coffee shop. They have like a
Mhm.
little coffee cart. They've rearranged it. This little thing's not there anymore. And so, yep, just right there, I proposed. We got the picture of it, and she's super shocked, pulled it off. Before that, we did go ride. She wanted to go directly to Space Mountain. And so I had
Okay.
to ride that roller coaster, which I hate.
Yeah.
With the death grip on this engagement ring in my
Oh
pocket.
God, I couldn't imagine. I would have been so nervous.
nervous. Oh my gosh. But then I got it. The next thing after that, I was like, oh, let's go back to the castle. I want to go get some breakfast. I'm so hungry. Like I was just
Okay.
trying to get back to the castle.
Yeah.
And so I got it done. She said yes. The rest is history.
I love it. I say for me, I wouldn't say that's cheesy. That was like a romantic thing you did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so sweet because there was these little Chinese couple, and they were just like, they didn't even speak English, but they saw the whole thing. And they were standing there. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah.
Everybody understands the language of love, right?
That's right. That's right. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Quick one coming up.
Yep.
Billy, is love at first sight real or total nonsense?
To me, it's nonsense. I think attraction at first sight is absolutely 100% real. But love at first sight, how do you know somebody if you just see them? I don't know. Some people might be like, hey, that's just how I feel like it's more attraction at first sight. You can definitely be attracted to somebody and then love grows. But yeah, that's just for me.
Okay. I respect that. I think you're right on about that. I said I think it could be real. The only reason I say that is because, and I agree with what you said about attraction at first sight. Is stories that I've heard from people, like real people I know who've said, first time I laid eyes on that person, she was going to be my wife, and then they end up getting married. So what that is, I don't know. It's just someone maybe who's very determined. It's like, I will marry that person no matter what. So again, it could be real. Who's to say? But it's more likely it's just attraction at first sight. So
yeah.
All right, Billy, I think I'm up first on this one here.
Okay, so what is the best worst date story you have?
So I had to really rack my brain because it's been a while since I've been in the dating game, and getting old like I am.
Right, it's been a minute.
Some things, yeah. But there was one date that stood out as absolutely awful. This is like I had to have been 18, about that age. And I can't remember where I met the girl from, if it was at work situation, because it wasn't somebody from school. And I think it might have been a work situation. And this girl was like out of my league, like completely out of my league. I knew it, but somehow, we got to know each other a little bit. And I asked her out and she said yes. And I was like, oh my, like the girl actually said yes. Like this is big time, right? Well, I had to go pick her up for a date. And I do. And so I show up in my car. And so when we grew up, we did not have a lot of money. So whatever cars we got from my parents or whatever. My car was nicknamed the Chocolate Lover. And it was it was a 1977 Ford LTD2. When I tell you this car was long and massive, this car was massive. Like, and this is like a 70s car. It's one of those hoods that was so long, like if you went over a hill, you couldn't see the other side of the hill until you like went over. Like God knows what was there waiting for you. yeah, so I show up in this car, not not the greatest car ever. And it's chocolate looking. That's why it was called the Chocolate Lover. It's chocolate brown. We get in, we're heading to the movies, and you could like the conversation's a little awkward in the car, because we were just been random friends at this job, but all of a sudden we're going on this date, so the stakes are a little bit higher, and so it was kind of just random like awkward conversation. But then all of a sudden, boom! I'm at a stoplight. I get a flat tire. I was like,
Ooh.
"Oh God, you got to be kidding me!" So I have to pull that bad boy off to the side of the road. I'm telling her, I'm like, "Hey, I'm so sorry," and it's like really cold outside and nasty. So I have to stay in the car, and so I got to jack the whole car up, take
Oh.
the. I mean, takes the it takes time to put a tire on and get it right the right way. So I mean, I was probably on the side of the road for a good 25, 30 minutes, like getting the tire out, put another one back on. The time I get back in the car, I'm literally covered in grease
Sure.
all over my hands. I had some on my face. I don't know how that happened. I was sweating, and it was just like I sweat abnormally anyhow, but I was nervous. All these things. So I get in the car, and I was like, "I am so sorry," and she doesn't say anything. I was like, "Oh God!" So we were going to the movie theater, movies, which just like it was like a couple minutes away. We get in there, we pull into the movie, and she's like, "You know what? I just rather go home. Please take me home now." I was like, "Oh, okay." I was so humiliated and defeated
Mm.
because I knew this girl was out of my league anyhow, and like everything would have had to go perfect for everything like to line up. It did not, which is it was for the better, better
Exactly.
situation.
Because your queen
But
came later. Yep.
that's right.
That's right.
And yeah, so that was an embarrassing, horrible date story. What about you?
For me, oh man. Okay, so I was 17, and so I had this I had this one girl that I had a crush on, and we also had like a real flirty relationship. But I did ask her out,
Yeah.
and she said yes, and we went on a date. And so growing up, the mall was the place to be, like our
Oh yeah.
mall.
Yeah.
Like just think quintessential like 80s mall.
Yeah.
Like, and so we were gonna go see the new South Park movie. Like I said, I was 17, so I could see rated R movies. She was 16.
Mm.
So she had a fake ID when she borrowed one of her friends' IDs. But the whole date just started off weird because, like I said, we were at the mall and everybody's at the mall. It's a place to hang
Yeah.
out. And then it just didn't, the date just started off on a weird vibe.
Yeah.
Just, nothing wrong. Like we were great friends and everything. It just felt off. And like her friends were there too. And it just was kind of weird. But then we go to the movies and she gets carded and the dude is in my grade that cards her, and he knows both her and the fake ID person, and so he doesn't let her in. And so I was like, okay, well, she just decides that she's going to go to another movie with all of her friends that are there anyway. And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, and so I just went and saw South Park by myself.
Oh,
Just
that's so
yeah.
sad.
Yeah, it was kind of sad. Just was, but hey, again, it wasn't meant to be. It was not meant to be, and that's okay. It kind of
That's
sucked
okay.
at the time, though. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. Live and learn.
That's right.
All right, moving along. Bill, you're up first this time. The question
Okay.
is, what's a totally unromantic thing that someone could do that would make you fall in love with them?
Okay. For me, I was a camp counselor.
Yeah.
And one day off the whim, we decided to go get piercings. Some people got tattoos, and I got my cartilage pierced up here. And this summer I was dating Michelle. We had just started dating, and I went down to Birmingham on like a weekend that we had off so I could go see her. And my ear had gotten infected.
Oh
And
gosh.
so it's all nasty and
Yeah.
just swollen and infected and oozing and ugh.
Oh
I took
God.
care of it, but you working on the lake and all this stuff, and I did everything it said, but it was one of these that didn't have like a clasp on it. It was just a circle that they closed, and it got all bent up, like me trying to take it because my ear was infected, and so she had to help me try to get it out. It was painful. It was horrible. It was nasty, but she did it and helped me. and
Mhm.
totally unromantic, but she was there for me. So
So you
yeah.
yeah, I get that. So what I did for my answer, I didn't say like, here's a specific story that happened to
Mhm.
me and whomever. I think the example I thought of is like somebody that you're not looking out for, right? Like you're not
Uh-huh.
looking at this person as a romantic person at all, or whatever. And we're talking about for people who are not married. Just
Mhm.
we're not talking about you should be looking for somebody else right now if you're married. Just that's our a little disclaimer. But I think it's somebody who just kind of shows up in your life, does things, gives you kind of value without asking anything in return. There's no like high stakes on the table. And those things that are like repeated slowly after over time, you start
Mhm.
to fall in love with that kind of experience or that person, not based upon like you guys have been talking about it. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of a feeling you would get. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking in a circle here about that,
Hmm.
but it's something like that. Like people who show up in your life, and you might be friends, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I like it. I like
That's
it.
that's the best example I could think of. I'm
It
sure there's other examples, but that's what came to my mind. So
it plays. It
it
plays.
plays.
Yeah. Okay. So Tim, can
Yes.
exes can they stay your friend? Can your ex-girlfriend still be your friend?
I'm gonna say a big no on that one, and I don't. I mean, I wouldn't want Leslie's ex-boyfriends hanging around and being friends.
Mhm.
So I would have to go down that same path and say, "There's no way in
There's
hell
no
that's happening." nor would I want it. I'm not saying someone would not
Yeah.
allow. I'm just saying that's not. I don't need that kind of drama in my life.
Sure. Sure. I'll
You?
play devil's advocate for a little bit.
Yeah.
Now there are some ex-girlfriends that I have that I don't want to be friends with. Like this one girl who broke up with me because she wanted to start dating her pastor, but then she asked me, she's like, "Well, I really have feelings for him, but I will stay with you." I'm
Yeah.
like, "No,
Hard pass. Yeah.
no, absolutely not. No, we're good. I don't. Yeah, that's over." But I do have some friends
Okay.
that were girlfriends in the past. I have ex-girlfriends that I'm still friends with. They follow the show and stuff like that, and
Oh,
and stuff like
I'm
yeah.
totally for it now. If they're following the
Yeah,
show,
exactly.
then I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it wasn't meant to be. And that's okay. They're, relationships. I'm married to the least jealous person in the world. But no, she's not jealous, and so she's okay with it. But there might be some relationships out there that, hey, they're not okay with it, and I think you should respect that. But Michelle's fine with it. But yeah, we're friends and stuff like that. So, I mean, we don't hang out or anything. We're just more of a Facebook, like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to support you and everything that you do, and she's the same way with me, and yeah, we're just platonic friends. So
All right.
yeah,
I mean, if it works for the situation,
yeah,
I'm all for it.
is
I'm just saying, for me, that's a fat
is
no.
a hard no.
Okay, Billy. Do you believe in soulmates? Is that just some Hollywood myth? Is the question.
Is that just some bull? No, no, I do. I believe that I married my soulmate. I
Okay.
think she was created for me, and I was created for her. That's the only way I can explain it.
Yeah.
The way it happened, the way we, you know, came to meet each other. So yeah, Michelle is 100% my soulmate, and thankfully God protected me getting to her. And so
Yeah.
same with her to me.
Yeah.
How about you?
I pretty much had the same answer. I
Mhm.
wrote down if you believe that God has a purpose for your life, why wouldn't you believe that He has a soulmate for you, right?
Exactly.
And you think about, like you said, about all the things you go through leading up to where you're at, what kind of relationship you're in now, right? With your wife or husband or whoever you're with out there. That it's a perfect alignment. It's meant to be. I think about our story, how we kind of got together was a crazy
Mhm.
circumstance. That is for another podcast. I will tell that story. But no, it's an insane story. And every time I start telling it, people are like, "Oh, Tim, you are bad." And then I kind of get to it, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I get
Oh,
it." So
you're like, oh,
anyhow, I agree with you. Like I said, if you believe God has a plan for your life, just in general, why wouldn't you believe He's got a plan for you to have your soulmate? And I guess the real question is, do you find your soulmate on the first try?
mm.
You know,
No, there's some trial and errors on that one.
that's true.
Yeah. And so, and then it also
Yeah.
makes you appreciate when you do find them.
The bumps in the road, the people who
Yep.
rejected you at the movies and said, take me
Ugh.
home, or in your case, went with their friends. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Tim. So, what's the key to a great long-term relationship? Just besides, agreeing on where to eat, which is a really hard question every single night.
That is a hard question. That leads to more arguments than real things do. It seriously does. I have food envy. I can never make a decision. Like, we're going out to dinner with the family. They're like, pick. I'm like, I don't know where to go.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't figure it out. I'm so hungry. So I'll read some of the stuff I wrote down. I think for it to last a long time, like we're going to be married 27 years this year.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have grace.
Absolutely.
Forgiveness, being a good listener,
Mm-hmm.
respecting and honoring each other, laughing together.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Have joint and also have separate hobbies.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've gained to learn that as we've got older, that it's okay to have different hobbies. So you can't just be the end all be all for each other all the time. It's good to have the separate hobbies, but it's also good to have hobbies together as well. So you're doing things that you enjoy together, and it's not just separate only. So I think it's really good to have both of those. Being willing to compromise, and then being the biggest cheerleader for each other, and no matter what's going on. There's probably a lot more that people would say, but for me, those are the things that stick out the most for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. I wrote down a couple little things as well. We've been together over 20 years, and gosh, I'm beyond blessed. But some of my advice, like, choose your partner every day. Prioritize each other. Communication and listening are just huge.
And they're two separate things.
They are two separate things. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, just don't talk, and you got to wait for that. You receive what they're giving you as well as let them know, So you have that. Grow together. I can go ahead and tell you, the freshman in college that Michelle was, and the junior that, in college that I was, we are not the same people that we were back then. And that is good. We've grown, and we grew together, which, makes it super special. And then also just keep the spark alive. I know it's hard when you've been married for, long, just, things get normal. Things get, they don't try to keep that spark alive. Keep it fun.
What Billy is saying is be creative and have a safe word. That's what he's trying to
say. Safety first, kids. Safety first. I like it. Perfect. Okay, yeah. Just end on that. There you go.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Nope, that's perfect. That's perfect.
All right. We're getting close to the end here. Let's see. Okay, Bill, you're first on this one.
Okay.
What's one piece of relationship advice that people always give but is actually terrible?
Oh, I think for me, the biggest one would be probably play hard to get. People like that. No,
yeah.
You don't play hard to get.
If you like me, just tell me.
Yeah.
One that I was looking, I was blanking, and I was thinking, okay, what's some of the worst advice you give people or whatever? And the one that stuck out to me is that love means never having to say you're sorry, which is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
You should be apologizing for things and not just letting them go crazy and be horrible.
Yes.
I mean, you should be apologizing pretty much all the time. And I don't mean it like you're always wrong or whatever, but that should be a big part. We just talked about that, and some of the things about compromise and, grace and forgiveness and all those things. To say that, you never to say you're sorry is kind of like a weak one for me, I think.
Yes. No, that is, yeah. Yes. I agree.
All right.
Okay. If you had to plan the ultimate worst Valentine's date, what all would it include?
All right. So I wrote down, I was trying to think of at first I was thinking like all the places that would take Leslie that would be
Mhm.
absolutely horrible for her as a first
That's
date.
funny.
And I was thinking more along those lines, like take her to drink bourbon. She hates bourbon. Take her to like a Brazilian steakhouse where it's nothing but meat coming at you all the time, and me like ruining the family name again by just eating meat and
Yes.
never stopping and all things like that. But I also wrote down like I tried to think of like what would be just a funny first date situation, and I wrote I wrote down a group date with all of my exes. We meet up with all of them, go on a group date, you know, and nothing says
Yes.
romance like being completely awkward and having tension right out of the gate. But
Oh, I
there's
love
so
it.
many different ways you could go with this. You know, you could
Yeah.
come up with like crazy stuff, like taking them to meet your mom on the first date, you know, stuff like that. Yeah,
Yep. Um,
yeah. Go
I
ahead.
took
What
this
about you?
question. Yeah, I took this question and I planned Michelle's worst date just based on what I know she hates, the
Yeah,
things that um so I'm going to start this date off by we're going to start this by scheduling some in-home meetings with house contractors that she has to attend. That gives her so much anxiety. Like when we were getting the windows replaced, she
yeah,
refused. She refused to be here for the presentation and the sales pitches and stuff. And like Lowe's actually would not give me a price because she wasn't here. And I
hmm
said, that's fine. She's not going to be here. She doesn't want to be here. This gives her
right.
anxiety. If you don't want to give me a price, you can just leave. And
Yeah.
so they left. And so that's fine. Just,
All right.
yeah, it is what it is. And so, yeah, so we're going to start off, but she's going to be there. And that's how
Okay.
we're going to,
She
then
has
we're
to
going to go
write it
have,
out.
yep, we're going to go have a dinner at Taco Casa. Now, Taco Casa is a Tuscaloosa institution. It is like it's been here since like the 70s. People who were born and grew up here would kill for Taco Casa. That is like it's like a cult
Yeah.
almost. It is nasty.
It's a
It is
guilty
like
pleasure. Yeah.
I would so much prefer to go to Taco Bell. And me saying that here in Tuscaloosa is absolute blasphemy to some folks. But
Got
me
it.
and Michelle hate it. And if you're not from here, you usually fall in line with what, you don't like it. But it's so great. I will say to give them some grace, they do have the best sweet tea in the city.
Okay.
Or yeah, their sweet tea and their ice is fantastic. I will give them all the praise for that, but their food is not good. No bueno. Um, and then we're going to finish the night by going to the car dealership and go car shopping with the salesman. And I'm going to give them all of her information so that they can reach out 6 to 7 more times the next week. And so that is her worst date.
That's awesome. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I thought about the thing with Leslie, I tried to go both ways. It also would be taking her to a horror movie, which
Oh,
it's a no go.
yep.
Yeah.
I
And
could
then
add laser tag into that. She's the one thing that girl is not good at is laser tag, and she's good at most things, and so she hates laser tag. She's no good.
take her get the at home version. No, just make her play
Yes,
one
yes.
weekend a month with you.
Yeah.
Just have that safe word though.
This one's a real easy one. If Cupid got fired, which celebrity should take over his job?
This came to me right away, and my answer is Dolly Parton. She's like
Dolly
the nicest. I mean, it seems like she floats on air as is, right?
Yes.
She's
I
full
love-
energy, positivity, fun, that accent she's got going on. And I figured we could call this stage of her life working 5 to 9. What happens after 9 to 5, what she does from that time from 5 to 9 the next morning, her time could be being the tooth fairy. What do you think?
That is perfection. Yep, that's a great answer. I
Thank
love
you.
me some Dolly Parton. We
Everybody
went to
does.
We went to Dollywood not too long ago and had a good old time and got to see her museum and all of her old swag and stuff like that, and just got to be where Miss Dolly. And can I just say that lady sent us some books for the girls growing up that were just fantastic. Every month we got a new book. That program that she has is just beautiful. I love me some Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
But for me, the name that came to my head and I just could not get it out of, Danny DeVito. I just think he'd make a great celebrity Cupid. So
yeah.
Based on
He'd
looks
be like,
alone.
the looks, and he'd be like all grumpy and not like into the job at all. Just like, I have to be here. I hate, like, I can't even look at teeth without even getting sick. Like, that's the guy.
Yep. Yep.
All right, I like that. Let's see. We got a couple left here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bill, you're up first. So, if you could erase one romantic cliche from existence, what would it be?
You know, I'm glad I picked two on this one because my first one was love means never saying you're sorry.
Are you serious?
Yep, was one of them. So I'm glad I have another one since
I'm
we've
glad-
already talked about that. And
Yeah.
that is all you need is love. You need a little bit more than just love. You know,
Yeah.
you need that
Safe word.
relationship and and a safe word. Yep. So yep, that's it. about
All you
you?
need is love. You need a lot more. You need a lot more.
You need some more than love.
For me, the one that stuck out is if they love you, they'll change for you.
Yes.
And
Yep. No.
how many times have you heard the story like of the bad boy and like, oh, once I get him married, I'll calm him
Mhm.
down, and then he's insane and crazy. Or you have the lady who says, I know he doesn't want kids, and that's fine. But then when they get married, she gets mad because they don't want kids. He doesn't want kids, and
Right.
he changed his mind, things like that. So
Mhm.
I think that is like the most horrible cliche of like a lot of them for me. We're down to our final question.
Question number 20. 20 questions. Okay. What is your definition of true love?
All right, so I got two things here.
Okay.
The first thing for me, and I think you might have a similar answer, is God's love for us, the ultimate
Yeah.
sacrifice he had
Mm-hmm.
to, die for our sins and give us eternal life. That kind of love, I don't think you can get any better than that definition of true love, personally.
Yep.
I know everyone has different beliefs, and that's okay. But for me, I don't think Billy's in the same boat with that.
I agree 100%. Yep.
And then the rest of it was kind of like along the same lines of things I said about, being in a marriage. There's the compromising. I wrote down some stuff. It's deep. It's unconditional bond. You have respect for each other. You show up for each other no matter what. It's accepting flaws, right? And being okay with that. Because it's crazy when two people come together and you all have differences of opinions and different ways you do things. And it's about finding that compromise in the middle and that true love. It's finding happiness in each other person's journey and joy. Like I said, being the biggest cheerleader. I also talked about, it's not just about perfection, but commitment and trust and shared experiences. So I wrote down a couple other things, but it's similar to the things I said before. So I think it's all those things is true love. It's a bunch of spices you put into a recipe to make it work, right? It's a bunch of different things. It's not one thing stands out, but it's a combination of the things that I mentioned. So that's my answer.
I love that. Yeah, and just to echo off of that, the way I love Jesus helps me love my wife better. So I would 100%, agree with that. I wrote this. I'm going to read this because I don't want to miss, what I wrote down. So I'm just going to let me read this to y'all.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. A great way to explain true love is that it's not just about passion or attraction. It's about deep connection, unwavering commitment, and selfless care. True love is when someone sees you at your worst and still chooses to stand by your side. It's a feeling, it's feeling completely safe and understood with a person, knowing they genuinely want the best for you. It's true love is being able to say the hard things to that person that you love, as well. And just as a simple metaphor, true love is kind of like a lighthouse. No matter how strong the storm, no matter how lost you feel, it remains steady, guiding you home without hesitation. So there you go.
Love it. Look, see, I'm not the only romantic guy out
I
here.
know it, Ryan. I know.
I did prepare a love poem to read to you here to wrap this whole thing up. Roses are red, violets are blue. Without Billy in my life, I wouldn't know what to do.
Oh,
signed, Tim Sawhook. Please don't hang this on the wall.
Posting that on I'm getting it framed and putting it on.
I just want it to be posted on your heart. That's all I want.
That's right. I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you, sir.
And the biggest true meaning of love to us is you downloading this podcast, which you probably did to get here, and then sharing it with other people. That's how you can show some practical love to us in a practical way.
That's how you will make our Valentine's just complete. And we hope you all have an amazing Valentine's and a wonderful weekend and everything. And so That's
Yeah,
what
you guys
we,
are. It's full of love. Go to White Castle. Go to a fancy dinner. Stay at home. That was one of the
Yep.
things we didn't talk about. Sometimes just doing some takeout in your pajamas, watching a movie, kind
I
of ranks kind of high
you know,
too.
I should have mentioned this. We don't go out on Valentine's night. It's too crazy. We'll go out a couple nights later when it just cools down. We're fine with
Yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah. We never go out on
we
Valentine's night.
we usually do if we can make sure we get a reservation or something.
Oh,
But
if you can
there's
get a
been
reservation.
times where,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't just fight a crowd for the sake of fighting a crowd. No.
No, So yeah, yeah, we're all
Well,
good with that.
this has been fun. There was a lot of things I learned about you, Billy.
Thank you.
And learned about myself also.
Yes, good.
Is we just want to say also congratulations to our 2 winners for leaving those 5-star written reviews on Apple Podcast. That is the Bearded One and Mandy Cat. Remember, you can give us your information at info@alltheeverythingpodcast.com. And for the people who have not left a review yet, please go to iTunes, Apple Music, or whatever you do the review on. Leave us a review. Let's make it show the love on this week of love. Show us some love. And we'll return show you love by bringing you more exciting and fun podcasts. But again, we really appreciate you guys being here for another amazing episode of All the Everything Podcast. We hope you, like Billy said, hope you have a great week, have a great Valentine's, and just love yourself first, and everything else will come out after that.